On this episode of Burnline, we smoke the aging room Quattro Nicaragua Maestro 6x52 torpedo box press. Welcome aboard. Burnline Podcast. The burn line on a well-crafted cigar is straight and sharp as a razor, much like our wit and wisdom. And welcome to Burnline, coming to you not live from the hot box, the smoky back room where deals are struck and fortunes are made, adjacent to the Blanco Lounge, nestled amongst the sprawling complex of Union Cigar, Hanover, Pennsylvania, USA, the only Blanco Lounge in North America. I'm your host, Johnny Midas, and I'm joined by your other host.
Hi, my name is Nick. Apparently, Nick the Brick is my name here.
Nick the Brick.
Nick
That's
the
your
Brick.
social media name.
Yeah. They called me, in high school, my last name is McCann. So they called me Mechanimal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all coming out on this show. Well, I have some high school trauma, too. We should talk about it. But why don't we talk about it over a cigar? So we're smoking the Aging Room Quattro Nicaragua Maestro today, and the Maestro refers to the Vitola. Is that correct on this
Yes.
on this cigar?
Yeah.
So this is a 6x52 torpedo box press, and probably because it's box press, to me the torpedo looks almost closer to a bellicoso on the head of the cigar. Like, it's not a long torpedo. It's not quite as abbreviated, but
That's a can of worms right there.
yeah, it's a can of worms right there.
Bellicoso torpedo pyramid.
Yeah. Where does one start and the other stop?
Yeah.
Or begin? Yeah. So, and of course you have the branding. You know, we've seen this with a couple of cigars where they make up their own Vitola and brand it, which is cool. That's awesome. But it can be confusing. This retails for $13 here at Union Cigar, Hanover, Pennsylvania, USA. While a box of 20 will set you back $234, which is a savings of $26. And actually, if you pre-order, prepay a box, you can save an additional $26. So that's like getting 4 free cigars, which is pretty freaking awesome. So come on down, road trip to Hanover, pick you up some of these aging rooms. Or better yet, listen to the podcast and find out if you actually want to smoke it before you make that road trip. Yeah. Which I think you're going to, because this is an awesome cigar. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Maybe we should not come to a conclusion this week, and then we can have a part 2 next week and smoke it again.
You know, cliffhanger it?
Yeah, let's cliffhanger it, then we can smoke it again. In fact, maybe we can make 3 episodes out of it.
You might even stretch it to 4.
So, spoiler alert, I might like this cigar. But why don't we go ahead and get them lit up? So, let's clip our cigar. I'm using my Craftsman's Bench double guillotine open-ended cutter today. And as always, we remind you to clip that cigar with authority. No limp-wristed cutting allowed. Nice and smooth.
I'm smelling the body and the foot. It smells so good.
You better not say it smells like anything other than raisins.
Dude, it smells like poopy.
Yeah, it should. Like a well-fermented cigar smells like compost because that's literally what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, definitely the dried fruit component is there.
Yeah.
But there's quite a bit more going on this, like the cold draw. It's really interesting.
Yeah, a lot of flavor already.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, like that. Awesome. So this is a Nicaraguan puro, and it has this beautiful, I'm going to call it a Colorado Maduro wrapper. It's not a dark Maduro, or maybe a little darker than a Colorado, but definitely medium for a Maduro.
Not oscuro.
Not oscuro.
Yeah.
Nope, not by any means. So, 2 shades lighter than a Padron? Something like that.
Yeah, I guess somewhere in between a Padron Natural and a Padron Maduro.
Yeah. Pretty much right in the middle there. So we got a good clip and a good tap. And if you are just joining us, we always tap the head of our cigar after clipping it on the back of our hand to get all that loose little tobacco crumbles and dottle out of the cigar. Greatly enhances the cigar smoking experience. I've been doing it ever since. I love a good hand job before smoking my cigar. How many times am I going to have to drop that line before you actually laugh on the show, Nick?
Oh, I thought you've been putting in a laugh track this whole time.
We call him Nick the Brick because he has the sense of humor of a piece of masonry. Wow. All right. It is time to light our cigar. Can you light my lighter by any chance? This is a neat trick. So there we go. If you're releasing butane, but it won't light, you can get somebody else to light your lighter.
You're missing the spark.
Yeah, missing the spark.
But the butane's coming out still. Free flowing.
Yeah, if you're missing the spark, kind of like Angelina Jolie on a reunion tour, but the gas is still there, I know why it won't light, because I have it turned up too high, and it's fucking blowing itself out. That's something that's real with butane torches. So let's go ahead and light up these cigars, and as usual, we remind you to toast your cigar. Don't roast it to death.
Toasted, not roasted. Toasted, not roasted. Toasted, not roasted.
It's toasted. I get it.
I love how Nick is using a SpaceX rocket pre-launch motor to light a cigar, and you can hear it on the microphone. He's got it all tucked under the table behind his leg.
I had to step out of the room for a second.
Had to step out of the room. Sounds like a propane torch blowing up. That is some torch. On the weekends, he races it in the Rocket Car League. All right.
This is an AJ.
This is an AJ. Yeah. So let's talk about this cigar a little bit. First of all, on the presentation, nice, I don't want to say neutral box, but just classic box. The box a cigar comes in is kind of what you would expect a cigar box to look like.
Except for the orange.
Yeah, except for the orange. Unless it's a DBL second generation. Bazinga. Different shade of orange. Yeah, so just classic cigar box. The cigar itself is, I don't know, semi-rustic, slightly rustic, I would say. It has this kind of cool, to me it reminds me of a 1940s automobile, black band with gold. It says aging room in gold, Quattro in gold, and has gold horizontal lines and white stripes.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it kind of has that Art Deco 1940s automobile look to it. And then next to where it says aging room, there's fucking knuckle dusters.
Yeah.
You see that? I thought it was a crown at first.
Knuckle dusters?
Yeah.
Brass knuckles?
Yeah.
Knuckle dusters. Okay.
Whatever you fucking Yankees call it. So anyway, yeah, so you got brass knucks, and that's repeated below, much smaller, and then it says Quattro. So I don't know what that's all about. But that, it's all over, and then it's almost like a watermark on the second band, which is orange, and says Nicaragua.
Yeah. Rafael Nadal's signature on the sides of the primary black band. He's the Altadis side collaborator with AJ Fernandez on the cigar. So Rafael Nadal is the lead man for Aging Room, and obviously AJ frickin' Fernandez.
Right.
So
this cigar is a Nicaraguan puro. It has a Nicaraguan Maduro wrapper, and the binder and filler are Nicaraguan, blended by Rafael Nadal with AJ Fernandez. So interesting collab, and I don't think there's anything by AJ I don't like. I think he's really good at his craft, so I think that's a good call there.
I like AJ's collaborations as much as I do his core line.
Yeah.
His collab, the stuff he ventures out to do with other companies and other blenders, is just as good, if not better, than the stuff that he makes regular production.
Yeah, I think so. And then, so this is an Altadis product, is that correct? And Boutique Blends is Raphael's company, is that right?
Yeah.
So Aging Room would be a Altadis brand.
Yeah.
And then the Quattro is the sub-brand of Aging Room. And then Nicaragua is the blend of this particular cigar.
Right. And then Maestro's the size.
And Maestro is the Vitola. So there you have it, folks. That is a fucking paragraph of a title. And it's all in there, except the actual size, because you don't know what Maestro means unless you know what it means. So, and I would peg this as full. I've heard, a spectrum from mid-full to full. I think it's full. It's full-bodied, full flavor, full strength, I think. So we're going to give this a puff for you guys and share our thoughts. Initially, just like right out of the gate, I'd say for me, there's an obvious pepper component, that I associate with Nicaraguan tobacco to begin with. Black pepper.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely like black pepper. And then there's definitely like a vegetal note there. What I call garden veg. And then there's some other stuff going on that I feel like is going to pick up as I go along.
Yeah, man, it's good. It's really good.
Yeah. Do you have a little like zest of limon on there?
It's a zest. There's a little zest of something. Definitely citrusy.
I think it's closer to coriander, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think this is like if I was getting all my shit together for tequila shots.
Yeah.
And I had the plate that the lemon was in. Mm-hmm. And then I took the plate and I sprinkled black pepper in it and licked it. That's what I'm getting.
Nice. Why would you do that?
I don't know. It's far less enjoyable than smoking a cigar. I'll tell you that.
Just light up an aging room Quattro.
Right. All right. So we are getting some smoke off of this and getting it to burn. So aging room. I think this particular cigar actually kind of has its own niche or space in the industry. Like when I see it, first of all, I hear about it all the time.
Yeah.
Right. When people are going for a full flavor, full body, mouth puncher. And then, it kind of got famous because it got rated, a 97?
96.
96.
Yeah.
By Cigar Aficionado back when it came out in 2019?
Yep, 2019.
Yeah. So, that made it kind of famous.
Cigar of the year.
Cigar of the year.
Yeah, highest ranked cigar that year.
And, so, and then it kind of doesn't fit in anything, right? So it's typically displayed with Altadis products, right? Because it's distributed by Altadis. But it's really a Fernandez Rafael Nadal product, right?
Yeah. And you might be usually the only aging room you see on the shelf in the store.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Like there's other aging rooms.
Yeah, for sure.
But you're gonna see this one. Right? If you don't see this, your humidor is probably not fully stocked. Like this is a must-have,
right?
Typically cigar. Whereas the other aging rooms, not so much.
And they are they have some popularity, especially among our customers. Mm-hmm. There's a one called Pelo de Oro. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're good, but they're boutique for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, they're boutique, and so this one, it's a known cigar. So we went out on a limb here to smoke a cigar that our listeners may have already smoked, but for those of you that are maybe new to cigar smoking, I think this is the first power puncher cigar we've smoked on the show, right? So most of the cigars up to this point have been up to mid-full, and I think this is full.
But it's not even like a full body in like a gaudy way.
No, it's not, and it's definitely not. One of those cigars that is so strong and powerful you can't taste nuance and stuff in it.
Oh, it's very nuanced.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here, but it is strong, and you can tell because when I'm retrohaling, which I like to do, my voice is changing on the podcast because you can feel it in the nose hairs.
But there's nothing better than a nice full-bodied Maduro Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. First thing, we're drinking black coffee, of course, Quartermaster. Mm-hmm. Nothing better.
Yeah, so I've had this convo a lot of times about like breakfast cigars.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And well, Nick, you haven't been over to my place yet. We got to fix that. But I have a covered porch that wraps around two sides of my house, and
Nice.
off of that is a square pavilion, like butted up against it. Right, is a square pavilion that's probably like 12 by 12, something like that, with a fire pit in the middle. I'm sorry, a stone table that's hollow in the middle of it, just in case the building inspector's listening, with a removable top. Anyway, so I've got, some like outdoor couch and chairs out there. And so I will, I'll go out there in the morning and I'll set my coffee on my stone table with removable top, and smoke a cigar. And I really enjoy cigars I wouldn't normally enjoy when it's 5 a.m. in June in, the mid-Atlantic where it's like 55 degrees.
Oh.
So I can still wear a sweater.
Perfect temperature.
Perfect, So I'll smoke a tobacco, for example,
Nice.
or something like that I would never smoke otherwise. But having said that, I also really enjoy like good strong cigars too.
Yeah.
In the morning, like
Yeah.
I get the breakfast cigar thing, especially for folks that don't want to smoke on an empty stomach. Something lighter and sweeter, and that kind of offsets the bitterness of the coffee.
Yeah.
But you get like a dark sweet Maduro with your coffee, and man, that's good.
Yeah, and it's such a lovely time because your palate is the freshest.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that first, that first taste of the cigar of the day, right? You haven't had anything yet. Mm-hmm. It's just like, all right, this is the pure taste of what, unadulterated palate tasting, and so that can be awesome too with the Maduro because you can really get the good flavor out of that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, like don't go to Chili's and have their bloomin' onion and then like smoke your cigar because
Yeah.
with your gallon of sweet tea.
Right. Yeah. It's not conducive to a good taste. You want to get some soda water with your cigar we talked about, or coffee's a great one. Just coffee and the cigar is a really good one. But be consistent too. I think with the things you drink with cigars, you got to know that if you're drinking a Dr. Pepper with this aging room,
Oh yeah.
and then the next time if you drink an orange juice, right, it's going to be like a different experience.
While we're on the topic, don't ever drink orange juice with a cigar. You want to talk about a taste clash right there. That's just unkind to your palate right there. That's just cruel and unusual. All right, I've probably got about a half inch down on this cigar. There's definitely an earth note in there for sure. I think I detect a cocoa note that I'm hoping is going to pick up as I go along. That zest of coriander. I think it's coriander is what I'm going to call it. And then black pepper. So pretty interesting.
Mine's burning awesome. Yours is burning awesome.
Yeah.
The draw's good. It's not like a major smoke output cigar.
No.
It's medium.
Which I think is good because it is strong.
Yeah.
I think.
A lot of smoke might be overpowering. You think?
Definitely. And I'd call it meaty, not meaty like tastes like meat, but like the feel of the smoke on your palate or whatever. Like it's not chewy, but it's substantive.
And I think it's a little bit drying too for me, which is it's like a cured jerky kind of. If we're gonna go the meaty route.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely feels like I'm smoking something right now. All right, well, we will continue to puff on this little smoky treat. And right now, I think it is time for our tobacconist tip of the week. Nick, take it away.
And now, your tobacconist tip of the week with Nicholas McCann.
So our tobacconist tip of the week. My tobacconist tip of the week is, for all you new lounge guys,
And veteran lounge guys, you know who you are.
and veteran lounge guys, be conscientious of the spoken and unspoken rules of the lounge that you are visiting, sitting down in, smoking a cigar in. Some places are different They will let you do certain things, whereas others don't let you do certain things. Cigarette smoking is a big taboo kind of in any lounge.
Except for one. We won't go there.
And that is not Union Cigar Hanover. We do not allow cigarette smoking. Vaping too is another one. That guys
Do
just
not exhale that cloud of noxious fucking blueberry vanilla mint
Peach
or whatever.
fuzz, yeah. And then obviously things like cleaning up after yourself, emptying your ashtray, TV volume. If there's a speaker and you're playing music, speaker volume, stuff like that. Just be conscientious. It is a shared space. So just make sure that you're kind of aware of your surroundings and what's going on around you and what the lounge prefers you to do as well.
Yeah, and while we're on that topic, for people that are maybe less socially apt as others, there's a reason that there's unspoken rules in a lounge, and that is like spoken rules or explicit rules really bring down the class and the atmosphere. Right? I've been to cigar lounges where they literally have like rules posted on the wall, and it just comes across like so classless and like, this is not what I came to a cigar lounge for. So, where's the lounge police? So it's a gentleman's agreement.
It's like a weird dictatorial.
Yeah. So it's a gentleman's agreement. So, if you know how to be polite and considerate of others, you should do just fine. But, if you're in Colorado, maybe they let you smoke stuff that you can't smoke here.
Right.
But just know what the boundaries are. If you're concerned about messing up, you can ask somebody. I'm sure one of the tobacconists will be happy to take you aside privately and explain, some of the expectations.
And it's like if it's like a law enforcement owned establishment, don't like come in boasting about.
I got out of a ticket yesterday.
Yeah. Like have some couth. Be kind and be self aware.
Or as we like to say, everything you needed to know about being successful in life, you learned on Mr. Rogers. So be polite, be thoughtful of others, some basic politeness. But also, there are some things that are pretty universal. One would be buy a stick. Don't just go use somebody's lounge. They got to keep the lights on. Buy a stick. Hell, buy a stick and put it in the the Cigars for Troops box.
Yeah.
Go ahead and donate. And then smoke your special stick that you got on vacation in Antarctica or whatever the fuck you want to smoke. But, that's a pretty much universal rule right there.
Yeah, running these two stores, I don't care if you smoke what you want to smoke as far as cigar wise. If you want to bring a cigar that we don't carry, I don't care if you want to smoke it, but don't just come to smoke it and sit here. At least pick something up here. Because I'm not going to be able to carry everything that you want.
Right.
And I understand that.
Right. But if you want to keep using the lounge, somebody's got to pay for the lights, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then another one would be your basic politeness around conversation topics. You don't need to be talking about your sexual exploits. You don't need to be talking about that one guy you almost beat up because he cut you off in traffic. Pretty much anything that's centered around your maladjusted ego is to talk through with your therapist, not your cigar buddies at the lounge.
Yeah, don't trauma dump. Don't
no
come in
trauma
and talk
dump,
about your fighting with your wife. And
I feel like shit, so I want everyone else to also.
Yeah. Let's talk about sports and TV and movies and music.
Right. Hashtag mood. We can leave religion off the table for sure. And if you're going to do politics, damn, you better be in the right place.
Yeah.
Use caution there.
Read the room.
Yeah. Now, if you want my advice, just don't fucking talk about religion, politics, or most sports, and you'll be just fine.
Yeah. It's funny because sports are like socially acceptable to argue about. But
Right.
Politics and religion
Right.
are not.
Right.
You could be like, "Fuck you! I hate the Steelers."
I mean, depending on what part of the country you're in and what sport you're talking about,
It could get pretty hairy.
college football in Central Texas, better stay away from that. Hell, high school football.
I was gonna say high school football too.
Oh, man. Or soccer pretty much anywhere in Europe, yeah. So for all of our international listeners out there, be careful which team you support.
Guten Tag.
All right. Have you watched any Ted Lasso?
I haven't. They're done though, right? They just wrapped up.
Yeah, they just wrapped up. Yeah.
I've heard. My dad keeps telling me I need to watch it. I've heard so many good things about it.
Yeah, it's a good show. There's actually some good lessons in there. A lot of it is like naive, feel good. Like if you tried this in real life, you'd get fucking eaten alive.
Oh.
But it's nice to see good people having good things work out for them.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Good luck applying that in the real world. But the way that they portray the soccer fans is hilarious and somewhat accurate.
Yeah.
So I like, what is it, Green Street Hooligans? With, who was that actor that was in Sin City?
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm going back, dating myself
Mel
right there.
Gibson? I don't know.
No. He kind of looks like the guy from Harry Potter, but older. Anyway, so he was in that movie, and it's about West Ham soccer fans, which, I've always been a West Ham fan, so I found the movie interesting.
Oh, Mickey Rourke.
Oh, yeah,
Bruce
yeah.
Willis?
Yeah, he's in there. No, wait, what? No.
Mickey Rourke? Bruce Willis is in Sin City, apparently. Jessica Alba, Rosario Dawson.
Yeah. Sin City, but not Green Street Hooligans. No, it's the nerdy guy, the bad guy in Sin City.
Oh, Elijah Wood.
Yes, yeah, that
dude,
guy.
you could have said The Hobbit.
Oh, sorry.
Lord of the Rings?
You fucking nerd. God.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. So for all of you adults out there, we'll get back to the cigar. Yeah, but it was an interesting, like soccer biopic or something. Very, very British. But sorry,
It's interesting too because Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds own the Wrexham, right, in England, and so they're having like commercial success and they're getting Hollywood attention because they own it
because they're copying Ted Lasso.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're living out the real life Ted Lasso. But good for them, man.
Yeah, it's hard to hate on Ryan Reynolds. I've tried, but it's like,
yeah,
he's just doing him, and he's being really successful at it.
Yeah.
So good for you, man. I'll tell you what, he found a gem in Blake Lively though, because the shit she puts up with. I mean, they actually like each other, right?
Right, exactly.
Oh man, he's like, I found one that didn't run away screaming. Mm-hmm. All right, touching on the cigar again. I'm getting close to the second third, and I'll tell you, the pepper's picking up.
It's burning slow as
it is burning slow, man. Yeah, I think that I've always thought that with this cigar, I'm getting more than I think I'm getting.
Yeah.
Right, in terms of the quantity of tobacco, because it burns slow, it burns evenly. The burn line, which is fitting for a podcast with its name. Burn line is great, so you're getting the full flavor of wrapper, binder, filler, with every puff.
And it's like the blend, right? The blend is one thing, and the blend itself can taste good, but then the bunching and the rolling and the binding can change the blend and change how the blend tastes.
Change the experience for sure.
Yeah, so the blend itself, we give credit to all the blenders and say, oh, they know what they're doing, but maybe I just got a bad one. Mm-hmm. But for this one, it just seems like, God, everything's on the mark.
Yeah. Now look at it in profile.
Yeah.
And you can see where the cherry is. The heat is expanding the cigar. So the part that's lit is a Parejo, and the part that's in your mouth is a box press, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It is much fatter. I mean, much fatter than the box press. So as the tobacco is heating and expanding, you're kind of getting a feeling for just how much tobacco is in this, and that might be part of, why it's behaving the way it's behaving.
But it's just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't chalk this up as, oh, this is a slow burner, but it's a slow burner. Yeah, you could really enjoy this over an hour and a half.
I think so. Just well filled.
Yeah.
Good tobacco.
And it's not, it's not so tightly filled that you can't draw or that it's going out. It's staying lit despite us gabbing. So far, really enjoyable experience. If you like strong cigars, this is a great jumping off point. And with that, let's turn to our information segment, and we're going to talk about the beginner's guide to smoking cigars. So for those of you that are just getting into the hobby or are just getting serious about the hobby, we just have a few tips and tricks to kind of help you get adjusted. And we're going to start with strength and flavor. So you're going to want to experiment with your palate and kind of smoke your way around the humidor. And start with strength and flavor, right? So you have your shade grown or Connecticut. That's your light wrapper, and you can kind of go by color, right? And those are usually the mildest. They also are typically more bitter in flavor. That's just because they haven't aged as long. The lack of time on the stalk and curing and aging is why it's lighter. And of course, the lack of sun, shade grown. And then you have your natural or Habano wrappers. Your natural wrapper is a little stronger. And then you have your sun grown. Now, these are getting, like progressively darker. I would say probably the only surprise to newbies is your sun grown kind of just looks like a natural wrapper, but it's spicy, right? It's known for being peppery. And then, of course, your darkest is your Maduro. It's probably worth mentioning here that there's a difference between the actual like leaf and process in the wrapper and the color, right? So we mentioned this the other week, the difference between Maduro and Oscuro. Oscuro is a color, and it's like dark black, right? I'm thinking of the Partagas. That one's pretty black.
I think one of the Ligas, either the 9 or the 52 is Oscuro.
Yeah.
Just overall, just darker.
Right. Maduro is the aging process.
Yeah.
And the additional aging makes it darker, but that doesn't mean it's an Oscuro. Most of them aren't.
What is Maduro? I think means ripe, and then Oscuro means dark.
Yeah, something like that. Same thing with Connecticut, right? For example, your Tabernacle has a Connecticut broadleaf Maduro wrapper.
Yeah.
And it will knock your teeth back. So, just because it says Connecticut on the box, most people, when they say Connecticut, they mean a light cigar.
Yeah, they're referring to the shade, the color of the wrapper.
Yeah, it's just a slang term for shade-grown light wrapper. There's also some, more rare wrappers out there, like Cameroon.
Yeah.
Partly because there's not a lot of Cameroon tobacco to go around, right? A couple of manufacturers hog it all, but they do a pretty good job, so we'll let them off the hook. I remember, I was talking to Francisco, and he was like, Cameroon wrapper, man. Like, it's where the flavor's at.
Yeah.
I agree. If you're in the, mild to mid body range, Cameroon is definitely flavorful.
Right.
And then, you can get all kinds of weird, like Indonesia,
Sumatran wrappers.
Yeah, Sumatran wrappers, stuff like that. You can experiment with all of them. I think some of them, like Cameroon and Sumatra, like you'll immediately peg whether you like it or don't like it and stuff. Maduro is different because there's such a broad range of Maduro wrappers.
The Cameroon and the Sumatran are super distinct, whereas the Maduro is kind of like, it's like a hybridized mess of kind of just a bunch of, it's like a width of descriptors.
Because the underlying tobacco could be any kind. Yeah. It's just how it was aged, And I think sun grown for most people, like, it's spicy. It's distinct enough. So that's the first thing, strength and flavor. Like, my recommendation if you're starting out is like go by color and start light and work your way up to the dark, work your way back down, figure out what your palate likes. So interesting, my cigar buying habits, most of the cigars that I buy are like darker Maduro cigars. But my favorite is actually more of the Cuban style, light floral, aromatic, strong but mid-body. The Deus de Gloria is...
It's going to be like the sun-grown type color.
Yeah.
Not a Connecticut, but not a Maduro, right in between.
Yeah. The Casa de Cuva, one of my favorites.
Yeah, Fuente.
Yeah. So, but I figured that out because I smoked all the way up to like the Cro-Magnon, where I'm like choking to death, and then, smoke all the way back down to like an Ashton, Connecticut.
Right.
I'm like, okay, so here's what I really like. I will say that there's there's less of those in the humidor of what I like, compared to Maduros, which is one reason why I buy a lot of like darker cigars. So strength and flavor, like smoke through. The cheat code is just go by color. And then the second would be, origin, right? So smoke some Dominican cigars. Dominican Republic has a lot of great cigars. A lot of them are very different. But all of the big names come out of the Dominican Republic. The big three or whatever come out of Dominican Republic.
It's like where non-Cuban cigars started.
It's where non-Cuban cigars started. Yep. Lots to choose from. Lots of price points there. Nicaraguan tobacco is famous for being spicier, pepperier. I think Nicaragua is producing the best tobacco in the world right now. That's my personal opinion. USA, Pennsylvania broadleaf is kicking ass right now.
Check out our 20-acre farm video.
20-acre farm.
Video, podcast recording.
Yeah, our audio-only video.
Yeah.
And then also, as far as like Honduras, I think La Palina.
I love Honduran tobacco.
Yeah.
Alec Bradley Prensado.
Yeah.
Honduran Puro.
Prestanato.
Shut up.
It's fucking hard to pronounce, man. I'm like, why did you put that many consonants next to each other? There's like 17 consonants and 2 vowels. What the hell, guys? And then, there's other countries where you're going to get their tobacco in the cigar, but you probably aren't going to, it's not going to be a puro for sure. You have El Salvador. I'm not aware of.
I don't think I've ever smoked El Salvador tobacco.
I'm not aware that El Salvador makes any wrappers. I'm aware of one guy that is trying to come up with a wrapper leaf from El Salvador.
Jeez.
Right. Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil's pretty popular.
Yep.
Last week we did Intemperance.
Yep. Mexico. So usually your Mexican tobacco is the wrapper.
Yeah.
Part of that's just there's not that much to go around.
Yeah.
By the time you get done buying wrapper leaves, so getting Brazilian tobacco like in the binder and filler is uncommon.
I venture to say Mexican San Andreas is the most popular Maduro wrapper today.
Yeah. Although I think Pennsylvania broadleaf gives it a run for its money.
Oh yeah.
And then last but not least is Cuba. So my recommendation for beginners is stay away from Cuban cigars. First and foremost, because the chances of you getting a real one and not a counterfeit are pretty slim. So don't ruin it. Don't wreck your experience and overpay for a counterfeit. There's plenty of other good cigars to start with. So yeah, strength and flavor, and then origin. Experiment with the different countries. See what you like. Peru.
Yeah, you're a big Peruvian tobacco fan.
Yeah, if you find a cigar with Peruvian tobacco in it, fucking smoke it.
Because I bought more of the ones that I gave you.
Oh, did you?
The Peruvian puro.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Peruvian tobacco does not end up in a cigar by accident. That was not discount tobacco. Somebody blended that on purpose. So, another piece of advice for beginners is don't ego smoke. And I think there's a little bit of caveat here, but so when I say ego smoke, it's like, I'm playing the big man. I'm going in. This is a luxury product. I'm buying like a $35 Plasencia, and oh man, this is so good. Well, yeah, but you don't really know if it's good, and you don't know if it's good to you because you don't have the experience with your palate yet, right? So I would caution you to, go ahead and smoke through the humidor first, and kind of figure out what you like and where your palate's at before spending big bucks on stuff. But I say there's a caveat because let's be honest, cigar smoking is a luxury hobby, and there's that element to it.
It's about the flex a little bit.
Yeah,
it's about the flex.
Yep, a little bit. So it's kind of like telling folks drive all the the cars that you like before buying a BMW. Well, that's not a bad idea because you might buy a BMW SUV because all your golf buddies have one, and you find out you're really a sports car guy.
Yeah.
Right. But on the other hand, if you go out and buy an X5 instead of a Honda Civic, it's not a bad choice. So it's just a hell of a lot more expensive than a cigar. So. So there's a little caveat there. Like there's some room for that. It's just, and also like those of us that have been doing this hobby for a long time, we know that the value you're getting for those expensive cigars isn't commensurate to the price increase. It's a nice treat, from time to time. But for everyday smoking, man, you can get a hell of a cigar smoke for $10.
Right.
So just be careful of ego smoking.
Yeah, and especially if you're going to smoke half of it, mash it out in the ashtray and then walk out of the lounge.
Right.
We try not to judge, but you're going to look like a kind of a fool if you do that. If you're going to waste 70% of a Padron,
Right.
and destroy it in the ashtray and then leave, I'm just going to say, well, that guy didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah. Yep, agree. Kind of like the guy that buys the expensive sports car and then does 35 in the left-hand lane. I'm like, fucking waste, man.
Yeah.
What are you doing with that car?
Right.
Because I'd wrap it around a tree. And then
where are your driving gloves, dude? Come on, man.
I left my driving gloves at home. I am decked out with my full Johnny Midas Mr. T starter kit today. So I have my gold signet ring, my gold braided wedding band, my 2 gold chains, and my gold watch, and my gold necklace, which you can't see, but I can wear it on the outside. Do you think? Yeah. I'll pull that out.
It's a real D-bag.
Yeah. There we go.
Nice. Oh, wow.
Johnny Mighty's, man.
Yeah. We're getting a picture for Instagram after this.
Absolutely, we're going to. Speaking of Instagram, this is all Instagram jewelry. It's like stainless steel with like gold-colored plating on it, but that's how I roll. And then my last tip for beginners is take notes. Right, so there's some pretty cool apps out there. Actually, there's a couple where you can like take a photo of the cigar and it'll tell you what it is. Usually, it gets it right. You can take notes in the app. If you want to be like, more hipster douchey, you can have like a Moleskine, take notes in that.
Moleskine?
Isn't
it Moleskine?
No, well, it's actually pronounced Moleskine.
Is it?
Yeah. Sorry. Hate to break it to you.
You're just talking about like a notebook?
Well, no, it has to be a Moleskine. It can't be like the Walmart knockoff either. Like it has to be, you have to have paid twice as much or you're not a real hipster. But yeah, like slip that elastic band off, open to the page that has the ribbon like a fucking church Bible in it.
But then
and take your
no smoking Altadis, Fuente, General, or Padron. You have to smoke only boutiques.
Yeah, only boutiques, and you have to have a lighter that you bought in Argentina at like the top of a mountain that requires fuel that you have to go to like Saudi Arabia to get or something like that. Yeah.
On a serious note, a lot of guys tape the bands to their notebooks.
Oh yeah.
And then they'll write notes underneath, and I think that's actually a really good strategy, because you might, like if I listed off a bunch of cigars to you, you might know most of them, but then some of them you might not know. But if you saw the band, you'd be like, oh yeah, I smoked that before.
Or like I might be going through my notes like, oh, I want to try that again, and I know what it's called, but I can't remember what it looks like. And then best case scenario, I'm like, hey Nick, do you have a blah 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 blah, kind of thing. And that's where the apps come in, because you just take a picture of the cigar, So yeah, strength and flavor, like start light and then just go by color, figure out what you like, try different countries of origin. Don't ego smoke, or at least limit the ego smoking, and then take notes. And that should get you off to a really good start on your cigar hobby journey. And maybe next week or in a couple of weeks, we'll kind of move on to some tips for the intermediate cigar smoker. And we might even go to advanced. Man, you can take this hobby so far.
Oh, oh my goodness. There's, growing, curing, fermenting, blending, right? That's like expert level.
Oh yeah, for sure.
John, you better get that one back going up again.
Yeah, I'm going to touch up my cigar. I've been blabbing too much. And while I do that, Nick the Brick is going to bring us our cigar news of the week. Cigar news. Here is your host, Nicholas McCann.
Dun-da-da.
No, I dubbed the music in, so
I don't have to do it.
Yeah, you don't have to do it. I mean, I like it.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead, give that another shot.
Anyway, We got some legal cigar news this week for all you barristers, right? I think isn't that what they call them in England? Barristers.
No, I think they're banisters. Banisters? Barristers.
Barristers.
No, I think it's banisters. Barrister is like when you have stairs and there's like a railing. That's a barrister.
Drew Estate is filing a lawsuit against Deadwood Tobacco Company over the name Deadwood.
Wait. Explain that, because I thought Drew Estate I thought Deadwood was a Drew Estate product.
Yeah. So the way I understand this is that Deadwood Tobacco Company and Deadwood Tobacco Cigar Store was a place founded in South Dakota a couple years ago, 10, 15 years ago.
Yep. That's a couple years in the cigar industry.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then Drew Estate found these guys and was like, hey, we want this name. We want to continue with, I think, the Sweet Jane product.
Mm-hmm.
So let's make a deal. I want to buy some of the rights of the branding to it from you. And so the guys at Deadwood, the folks at Deadwood Tobacco Company in South Dakota said, okay, let's do it. And then I guess in the agreement, Drew Estate said you can't use Deadwood Tobacco anymore. You can keep your shop name called Deadwood Tobacco, but you can't sell cigars under the name Deadwood Tobacco Company.
Okay. I'm following.
So allegedly, Deadwood Tobacco Company has made subsequently a line of cigars with Asylum called sold under the name Deadwood Tobacco Company. And so they're called, like, the cigars are called like Midnight Oil and Dragon Auntie, Midnight Oil, Zero. Yeah. And so they're selling them. It's called Deadwood Tobacco Company Midnight Oil is the cigar. And the South Dakota brand store group is making them with Asylum. But Drew Estate's like, hey,
You breached contract.
yeah, we have the Deadwood Cigar Company name. Deadwood Tobacco Company name. So,
Which brings us to our second piece of news. There is a new cigar company out there known as Deceased Lumber. They're
Deadwood. So I guess that Drew Estate wants everything of Deadwood. They want the whole thing, and they don't want these guys in.
to use the name Deadwood.
Yeah,
So in Drew, I obviously haven't read the contract, looked at it or anything. But so in Drew Estate's position is we bought the rights to the name Deadwood, and you agreed not to use it. Now you're using it.
right.
Interesting.
Which is just like, I don't know. Why would you enter into a contract with Drew Estate and then violate that contract?
I don't know.
Who do you think you are?
Yeah, like that doesn't make sense to me. Like I said, Deceased Lumber is available as far as I know. I mean,
Deceased Lumber Institution.
right.
It's just I guess, and these other Deadwood Tobacco Company cigars are semi-popular. They're not as popular as the sisters, but I know people who have smoked the Deadwood Tobacco Company Midnight Oil and the Auntie and the Zero and stuff like that, and they say they're good. And like I said, they're made in collaboration with Asylum, and so Asylum actually hilariously issued a statement to Half Wheel immediately after this news dropped, and like took 15 steps back, and they said this is what it says. Please note that this information is no longer current. The brand name is now Asylum 867. The names Zero, Midnight Oil, and Auntie, as well as the sizes and blends, remain the same as created by Wild Bill and his staff, owner and operators of, and then in big letters, Deadwood Tobacco Company and Cigar Bar, because the distinction is you can't distribute under the name Deadwood
Right.
Deadwood
Tobacco Company.
Yeah, but the cigar store is fine.
Right.
So Christian Hero of Asylum just took 15 steps back.
Yeah. Yeah, I like his products. I like Asylum. I like Iroa. I've always thought, though, there's quite a few famous haunted asylums around the U.S.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I wonder if asylum, because I don't know about copyrights and stuff like that with the names of these asylums. Because like the one in Kentucky, what is that? Shit, I've been, but like when they open it up to book time there,
tours, right?
it sells out in like an hour, like the whole year. So they open up a year at a time. So I had a chance to go, and it was just like complete shit. It smelled like mildew, and it was just an old building. But whatever. I guess I'm not.
It wasn't spooky.
No, it wasn't spooky.
Oh, dude.
But maybe you have to believe in that sort of thing. I don't know. Anyway, but I did it just to say that I did it. But, you know, if they could collaborate on a line of cigars that was named after the different, like, famous haunted asylums, I think that would be cool as shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and Asylum, obviously, Christian Eiroa sold Camacho to Davidoff, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, but everything he does is good, man.
Yeah.
Like, the original Camachos were the shit.
Yeah, that's
like,
what I hear.
was, yeah, like, that was the value stick.
Yeah.
And the Eiroas are really good at a great price point.
Yeah.
So we used to call them like the rebirth of Camacho, kind of making fun of Drew Estate while we're on the topic, you know. But what was the one that had the red sleeve with the silver foil, and then it had like a wax paper ribbon on the foot?
Are you talking about Camacho?
No, the Eiroa. It was a box press Maduro that had like a red and silver foil wrapper around it. Anyway, that one was really good, and it was priced well.
Yeah, so
All of you out there,
Tobacco.
if you know what we're talking about, go ahead and drop us a line
Email.
at burnlinepodcast@gmail.com. Yeah, I wasn't willing to pay for like the domain name, so it's just a Gmail. And we will read your comments on the show, unless they suck, and then we won't read them on the show. Or if you ask us not to, then we won't as well.
Yeah, let us know if you think Drew Estate should let Deadwood Tobacco Company just live.
Just violate their contract.
Yeah, because obviously nothing's going on in South Dakota.
Yeah, yeah.
Give them at least this one thing.
Oh, damn, I can't believe you threw them under the bus like that. But since you brought it up, like, what is there in South Dakota?
I think Sturgis. They have Sturgis there.
Right,
that
which
true?
is a bunch of people coming into the state on their motorcycles
yeah.
that are made in Milwaukee or whatever.
Are the
So-
presidents in South Dakota Mount Rushmore? Or is that somewhere else?
Yeah, I think so.
Is it?
I'm trying to think of a state that has a bunch of big rocks you can carve, and I
Yeah.
think South Dakota comes to mind.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
For all of you South Dakotans out there, you're awesome. Keep smoking.
Yeah.
All right, great news there, Chief. So Drew Estate throwing their weight around, but from what I hear, it sounds legit. I mean, you can't fucking pay money for intellectual property, and then the guy you bought it from is like, psych, I get to keep it too. I got your money and I got the brand, you know. So anyway, judgment free here at Burnline Podcast, but interesting stuff going on. All right, let's touch back on this cigar. My draw has slowed down. I think it's a little too tough for what I like. I did clip it down a little bit more, but it's still not quite as free of a draw as I
Too
would
much
like.
resistance.
It's a little too much. Now, I like a good amount of resistance in my cigar. I don't smoke Gordos for that reason. I haven't found a Gordo, you know, that has enough back pressure on it for me to really like. I like to draw the smoke into my mouth, not have it just smoke itself into my mouth. To me, it's not. It's a little bit too hard of a draw at this point, and I'm about halfway through.
Yeah, even looking at the cut cap end, it just looks bunched pretty tightly. It just looks like this, you know, the tobacco's packed pretty tightly in there. You can kind of see when you cut or when you look at the foot, like, all right, is there a lot of space between these leaves, or are they just jammed in there?
And also the amount of like shit that comes out when you tap it on the back of your hand, right? The more that comes out, the looser, typically. Unless it's a Cuban sandwich, then be careful with the hand tap thing.
Right. Yeah, you can be doing it for hours.
you'll be doing it till there's no cigar. Yeah. God damn, this is loosely packed.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing I would say is I would like a little more smoke output on this, and I think those two are related.
Yeah.
Right. I think I would like it to burn just a little bit faster. I would like a little more draw, a little more smoke output. Now I'm being picky at this point. I got to admit.
Yeah.
But that's how I'm feeling about it.
I mean, I think that, you know, in the higher rated cigars, the ones with the more clout, right? You're kind of like more scrutinizing of. You want to say,
Oh yeah.
oh
Yeah.
well, all right, 96. Well, let's see what this is about.
Right. Yeah, like if I were smoking this with a Havana Q,
Yeah.
you know, the Havana Q, I wouldn't make any of these comments. 'Cause I'm like, it's a fucking $2 stick or whatever. You know, it's like you get what you get. Now, here's what's interesting: that black pepper for me is evolving into cayenne pepper. So it's definitely more spicy. The earth and cocoa has picked up, which is delicious, and I'm tasting some. I'm going to say walnuts or some kind of nuttiness in there as well.
I get some herbal spice. It's like a vegetal spice.
Yes. Yeah, there was for me, I think the vegetal was stronger in the first third, I think. I love the complexity of the flavor though. You know, this is a real tour de force of Nicaraguan tobacco, and if anyone out there is interested in like a Nicaraguan puro and kind of like the best example
Yeah.
of what Nicaragua can produce, this is it. Yeah. And this cigar is one reason why I think Nicaragua is producing the best tobacco, cigar tobacco in the world right now.
Yeah.
You can really taste it in this one.
I'm getting a little bit of sweetness actually off the wrapper, like my lips on the, like just on the outer part of the wrapper, not even the smoke part, but I get a little bit of sweetness from that too.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's definitely from the aging process.
Yeah.
If you smoke a dipped, sweet tip cigar, you can lick your lips afterwards, and you're like, oh, there's sweet on there. You can kind of do that with this cigar. It's different because it's not fake sweet,
Right.
but it's pretty cool.
It's like the sugars fermented and came to the surface. And
Yeah. I'm actually going to clip a little bit more
wow. Oh,
and see if that helps.
did you ever use a draw poker?
Yeah, I have from time to time.
You find that they help?
It depends on the cigar. There was a tool that I used one time, and it was like a tray, so the cigar wouldn't move around, and it had a long needle that went down the cigar, and the needle had little barbs sticking off.
Oh.
So, like, as you pulled it out, it would pull tobacco out.
Oh.
And I had a really tight draw one time, and it worked, but it also kind of wrecked the cigar.
I don't like that.
It was it was scary.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, if this works, I salvaged this cigar. If it doesn't work, I lost it.
It's destroyed.
See, yeah, so it's one of those like where it's like, okay, if I don't do this, I can't finish the cigar.
Right.
So I lost it either way.
Yeah.
In this case, it worked out for me.
It's just the barbs that are the barbs are throwing me off.
I will say, so I just clipped a little bit more, and of course it's a torpedo, so you can do that. It did not help the draw at all. Wow. It did remove the spit that was collected on the end, so it helped in that regard, but definitely did not improve the draw at all. So interesting experience here. All right, great show. I think it is time to rate this cigar, and we rate our cigar on a scale of 1 to 10 on 5 different dimensions: presentation, price, construction, flavor, and experience. And Nick, why don't we start with presentation on this Aging Room Quattro Nicaragua Maestro?
So the wrapper leaf was not too veiny. It wasn't too bumpy. I love, Maduros. I love Maduros with a little tooth. I like the bumps. So this was very smooth, kind of a little bit oily. And then the black primary band, the orange secondary band. The designs are cool, but I don't know. I love like a My Father style, like La Rumba de Cuba style, like art.
Classic, yeah.
So this is just like lettering. So I give it a 7.
7 from Nick on presentation. Yeah, for me, the cigar itself is beautiful, semi-rustic. I like the bands. There's some things that I would do differently. I don't know if you noticed, but on the black part, there's actually slightly embossed brass knucks on there.
Oh yeah, but you can't see them. You can just see the bumps.
Yeah, that's why they're annoying to me. Like, I would do that differently. Like, I would either color them or take them off. So this is your friendly neighborhood artist speaking. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I give it a 7 as well. Well done. Definitely doesn't knock anything out of the park, but better than your average bear. Yeah. So, and then price. Now this retails for $13 a stick here, and I think it's only fair to mention that this probably smokes a little bit longer than you would expect by looking at it.
Yeah.
What do you think about price, Nick?
So the price is interesting on this one because I watched it in release in 2019 start out at $10.50 or $11, and it's gone up to now $13 because of certain ratings given by certain publications.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also cigars are a lot more expensive now, man.
It's true. Yeah, this could be the natural progression of pricing.
Yeah.
I don't mind paying $13 for this cigar at all. I give it an 8.
8 from Nick on price. Yeah, I'm right at an 8 as well. I think this is a good value for this stick. I think they could charge more for it, like you said, based on the ratings and stuff like that. And then if you just compare it to some of the $20 plus offerings, it holds its own. I don't think I would buy it at that price point, but I think at 13 it's a good deal. So I'll give it an 8 on that. And then construction, and admitting up front that we are, I think, biased to hold this to a higher standard than a cheap cigar, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on construction?
So mine burned almost perfectly. Had it not been talking, it would have been a perfect burn, I think, the entire time. But I'm having the same issue as you. I think it annoys you a little more than it annoys me. So I've dealt with it this time, but I give it a 7. It's just the draw is a little too resistant.
Yeah, I think that's a good rating. I'm going to go with a 7 as well. The other aspects of construction were perfect. The cap on a torpedo, especially a slightly abbreviated torpedo like this, that's actually hard to do.
Yeah.
You'll frequently see bubbles and stuff, which, can be a pain in the ass when you clip the cigar, because then you have a little tail that flaps around. And, that's one of those annoyances when you're smoking. It can get worse. And then you're like, well, if I lick it and stick it back down, will it stay? And then, and then you're tonguing it and all of that. Didn't have any of that. No issue with the way that it was wrapped. No pinholes, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Seems to be bunched well. It's burning well. The resistance was too much. And that's what drops it. I think with if it burned a little bit easier, a little bit faster, I think, and had a little bit better draw, it could be a 9.
Yeah.
So I think a little disappointing there, but 7 is fair. And then let's talk about flavor. Nick?
Flavor was good. Almost great. Almost great for me, I think. Nothing that was... I didn't get any, gross puffs where it just was like, oh, what the hell was that? Mm-hmm. So it's pretty consistent throughout. I like this flavor. I give it a 7.
7 on flavor from Nick. I'm going to go with an 8 on flavor. I like the strength. I like the combination of sort of sweet and spicy. Probably not for everybody, but a great example of a strong Nicaraguan cigar. If you like full-bodied cigars, I think this one will hit the spot for you. And last but not least, our most subjective rating, but possibly the most important for cigar smokers, experience. So, Nick, what was your experience with this Aging Room Quattro Nicaragua Maestro?
My experience is going to be at an 8. I had a pretty positive experience with this cigar today, and generally I have a pretty positive experience with this cigar. And it is, I think well-deserved the accolades that it's gotten, and it's quite an enjoyable one.
And I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7 on experience. I think it was a good experience. I think for the expectation and the price point, having to fight with the draw just dropped it down a point on that one. So that is it. Our ratings are in, and that makes it come out to a 37. Not a bad rating. I would really like to see it in the 40s, and I think if they addressed that draw issue, this would be one of the highest rated cigars that we've smoked. And it wasn't an accident. It was both our cigars. And while we're on the topic, this is not the first time we've smoked this cigar. So it is an ongoing challenge. So Aging Room Quattro Nicaragua Maestro, 6x52 torpedo box press, retailing for $13 here at Union Cigar in Hanover, Pennsylvania, USA. Came in at a 37. This is a great full-bodied Nicaraguan puro, blended by Rafael Nadal and AJ Fernandez, distributed by Altadis. Really enjoyed smoking this cigar today and sharing some thoughts with you out there in YouTube land. Don't forget that you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Like all of our stuff, pump that up, make us awesome and famous, and we appreciate it. And of course, don't forget to leave a rating and review on the interwebs for the show. We appreciate that. And of course, if you want to drop us a line, burnlinepodcast@gmail.com. If you have anything you would like to share, please do. Questions, please ask. We just ask that if you don't want us to read your email on the show, to let us know so we don't do that accidentally. Otherwise, we might do that if you're reasonably good at getting your thoughts across. Thank you for joining us out there in the interwebs. This is Johnny Midas and Nick the Break signing off. Have a good week, everybody.